we have spent 4 episodes on Bill Gates, our self-proclaimed philanthropist. You might ask yourself, could there possibly be any more evil coming out of this man's mind? The answer is yes. We discovered even more darkness to share with you. And we promise, after this episode, we are done with him and we will never mention his name again. Now, we briefly mentioned something big at the end of the previous episode. Gates' involvement in what we call gene drive technology, also referred to as extinction technology. We are literally talking technology to make entire species or races go extinct. According to researchers, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and DARPA are the world's largest funders of gene drive research. In short, gene drive organisms are created by genetically engineering a living organism with a particular trait and then modifying the organism's reproductive system in order to always force the modified gene onto future generations, spreading the trait throughout the entire population. In order to be able to do that, one has to cut DNA and enable genes to be inserted, replaced or deleted from DNA sequences. The research of this amazing technology started off in 2003, massively funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It wasn't until 2015 and many millions of dollars later when a breakthrough was reached and Bill Gates had his ticket to his mosquito ball, remember from part 9? Now, we have already shown the dangers of gene drive technology. Think of the disruption of entire ecosystems. But it goes further than that. Gene drives are classified as synthetic biology, an extreme form of genetic engineering. Synthetic biology has been a field of interest of both Bill Gates and the US military and many other militaries around the world. Both Gates and DARPA, plus a secretive group of military advisors known as the Jason Group, have been investing insane amounts of money into synthetic engineering. Now, bearing in mind the possibilities of using this technology to create bioweapons, gene drives might be a marvel of technology, but in the wrong hands, it can and will have disastrous outcome. Gates has made sure that the future of gene drive extinction technology is secured. He bankrolled the technology development, he shaped the narrative, he picked the policy negotiators, and even paid the lobbyists. Just to give you an idea of how powerful this man is, in early 2015, the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering and Medicine announced that they would have a major inquiry into gene drives. The study did not explore just the science of gene drives, but also aimed to frame issues around policy, ethics, risk assessment, governance, and public engagement around gene drives. It was sponsored by DARPA and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation through the National Institutes of Health and the Foundation for the National Institutes of Health. Several panel members were recipients of Gates funds. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation also channeled money into the MIT Media Lab to promote gene drive technology. This Media Lab, by the way, came into the news when it was revealed it had received donations from none other than convicted child rapist Jeffrey Epstein. In 2019, the Media Lab got $2 million from Gates through Epstein. Funny how things always come back and bite you in the butt, right, Bill? Synthetic biology has become a multi-billion-dollar industry. Investment firms estimate that the industry will be worth $85 billion by 2030. That's an awful lot of money. We're talking about an industry that creates synthetic ingredients for the food industry, medicines, and lab-grown food products. In other words, it creates something artificially that does not exist in the natural world. Now, once again, that can either be a blessing or a curse, depending on whose hands it ends up in. As we have seen, synthetic biology is all about changing DNA into the so-called perfect mode, which could be absolutely brilliant. It could mean the end of disease. Our DNA could be programmed to fight AIDS, for instance, or even hereditary diseases, such as autoimmune diseases or certain types of cancer. They could be eliminated for good. Can you imagine the absolutely wonderful breakthrough in medical science?
I'm a love man. Call me the love man. Ooh, baby, I'm a love man.
However, in the wrong hands, it could be disastrous. First of all, it would be a very expensive way forward, meaning only the very rich people would be able to buy good health, good genes, while the ordinary people would have to wait for traditional medical treatment. Now, don't get me wrong, we are pro-advance, but when Bill Gates comes into the equation, we are highly alerted. As we have seen in previous episodes, Gates is a eugenics fanatic. The step from eugenics to synthetic biology is only a small one. Remember the Nazis and their efforts to create a pure race? Tall, athletic people with white skin, blonde hair and blue eyes? The Aryan race? Well, guess what? A new term has been coined for eugenics. Designer babies. We are not kidding you. When you have enough money, you can actually tell your synbio doctors what kind of baby you want to give birth to. Green eyes, dark skin, a boy or a girl, highly intelligent, a natural born leader. You name it, they will program it. A few cells in a petri dish, which will then be placed in your womb, or in an artificial womb, yet another marvel of technology from the Netherlands. We think you know by now that when Mr. Gates is involved, one has to be cautious. Be it vaccines, be it synthetic biology. When Gates promotes it and puts millions into it, something is off. Back to the food industry. Gates' latest investments include Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat, that make processed meat-like burgers from a synthetic biology-derived blood substitute. Sounds marvelous, doesn't it? I mean, we have been vegetarians for decades out of sheer love for animals, and we would welcome any new and tasty veggie burger. But from the hands of Bill Gates? Seriously? When a man who is an enthused depopulation advocate starts producing our food? Not a good thing. Let's have a closer look, shall we? After all, more and more viewers are concerned about the welfare of the planet and the animals that live on it. Beyond Meat was founded in 2009 in California, but the first burgers didn't hit the market until 2012. In less than 3 years, the company went straight to the stock market, where its shares exploded 840% during its first 3 months being listed. Investment firms said they had never seen anything like it. As of March 2021, Beyond Meat has a market value of $8.16 billion. For a bunch of veggie burgers? Really? Impossible Foods was founded in 2011, also in California. Its first burgers hit the market in 2016. Contrary to Beyond Meat, Impossible Foods is not on the stock market. It earns its fundings from venture capital funds and celebrity investors like Bill Gates. The company has brought in $1.4 billion. Its current value is estimated at $4 billion. As we were editing this episode, news arrived that Impossible Foods is ready to move forward to the stock market with an estimated value of $10 billion. Once again, for a bunch of veggie burgers? Well, it's not just veggie burgers. It's synthetic biology products. That's where the money is going. That's what a man like Bill Gates is so excited about. If he were truly thrilled about vegetarian food, he would have invested in companies like the Vegetarian Butcher or Corn, right? The truth is, Gates couldn't care less about the well-being of animals. He is into depopulation, eugenics, GMOs, and now synthetic biology. Why? So he can play God. Synthetic biology means redesigning life. New biological systems are created, systems that do not exist in nature. It is the extended version of genetic engineering. According to synthetic biologists, organisms created by means of synthetic biology would be considered new species, a complete biological system that could not have evolved from nature and would even have to be classified in a separate domain of life. Playing God. Like we said before, this can be a curse or a blessing, depending on who is the creator. A beautiful example of synbio is a bacterial system capable of avoiding the immune system, of sensing tumor cells, of invading and destroying them, and then self-destruct after a programmed time. Or how about this one? An alga that is capable of producing biofuels from carbon dioxide. Wonders of technological advance. But in the wrong hands? Take that same bacterial system we just mentioned. How about programming it to attack the immune system instead of cancer cells? Then let it self-destruct after a programmed time, and the cause of death will never be discovered through autopsy. For people like Bill Gates, synthetic biology is an absolute blessing. The term was well chosen. The word biology does wonders, like sustainability. It has a direct association with nature, green, eco, marvelous psychological effect. Whereas the word GMO is now connected to certain doubts concerning the health of people and planet. Furthermore, definitions of synthetic biology are still changing, and when it comes to, for instance, FDA approval, it's all about definitions. Right now, believe it or not, manufacturers of products that are based on synbio do not legally have to disclose this. They do not have to label their products GMO, as the definition of synbio is slightly different, even though it is much more extreme than GMO. And that is exactly what we see with the products of Beyond Meat. Its founder, Ethan Brown, doesn't mention synbio in interviews. It cannot be found on the company's website and/or its packaging. What's even worse, Beyond Meat states their products are GMO-free. Synbioed, yes, but that does not have to be disclosed. How shall we call this? It's legal, all right, but only because of the flaws in the system. We would definitely call this consumer deceit. Now the funny thing is, on its website, Beyond Meat doesn't even claim to be producing vegetarian or vegan products. They say their products are plant-based, but there's no mention of their products being suitable for vegetarians or vegans. At least not when we produce this episode. What about the products as they are sold in the shops? Beyond Meat put on some of its products the words vegan or vegetarian, but not on all. Far from it. From a marketing point of view, this strikes us as odd. It uses the icons for no GMOs, no soy or gluten, and kosher. The words plant-based sausage mean nothing. It can be based on plants, but still contain meat. So don't be fooled by the words plant-based. So, what is the main secret of Beyond Meat's bleeding burgers that they are so proud of? Red beet juice. Believe it or not, after years of developing vegetarian burgers by many other companies, nobody came up with the idea to use red beet juice to mimic the bleeding of meat? Are you kidding me? That's not exactly rocket science, is it? You want to know why it was never discovered before? Because it doesn't work. Try it. Red beet juice does not turn into a juicy burger taste when fried. It just doesn't have that bloody iron taste to it. Beyond Meat's secret is synthetic biology. And that has nothing to do with healthy veggie burgers. How about Impossible Foods? Their main secret is heme, genetically engineered soy leg hemoglobin. According to scientific advisor to Impossible Foods, Dr. Michael Eisen, in order to provide tasty alternatives to animal meat made from plants, you need lots of heme. And to get heme, you need genetic engineering. Impossible Foods makes this GMO heme by taking DNA from the root of soy plants, where a small amount of heme is produced, and inserted into genetically engineered yeast that is then fermented to mass-produce GMO heme. Well, at least they are honest about the GMOs, but mind you, this synbio substance has never been consumed before. Nobody knows what the effects will be on body and mind after consuming certain quantities for a certain amount of time. On its website, Impossible Food doesn't claim to be producing vegetarian or vegan products either, just like Beyond Meat. They too only state that products are plant-based. The packaging of their products tell us they do not contain animal hormones or antibiotics. Excuse me? That is not quite the same as vegetarian or vegan, now is it? From a marketing point of view, the packaging seems cheap and not appealing at all. Not quite what one would expect from a multi-billion enterprise, right? Impossible Foods does show us the icon of bioengineered, which looks tempting as in eco and green. But don't be fooled. Remember this icon. No matter how good it looks, it means trouble. We advise you to stay away from it. We mean it when we say that we truly wanted these miracle burgers to be the real thing. But after careful consideration, we turned them down. They are not the vegetarian product people are looking for. They are GMO'd and synbio'd. And we tasted them. They taste like meat. Full-on juicy meat. Now, we don't know what's causing that, but we do not believe it's because of red beet juice or heme. Could it be the result of certain flavor enhancers? Did you know that some of the most powerful flavor enhancers are based on human embryonic kidney cells? The HEK293 cells? In other words, kidney cells taken from a human aborted baby? Ever heard of Cenomix? A biotech company from California, bought by Firmenich from Switzerland in 2018? The business that received $7.5 million from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? We know, too far-fetched, right? I mean, can you imagine? Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods containing fetus kidney cells to add the meat flavor? Without telling us? I mean, we know that a lot of products contain these human embryonic kidney 293 cells to increase their taste. But come on, fake veggie burgers? Nah, we're pretty sure that the fact that the location of the production facility of Impossible Foods in Oakland, California, being right across the street from Planned Parenthood, is just a creepy coincidence. Just like the fact that the production facility of Beyond Meat is only a few minutes' drive from 3 Planned Parenthood clinics. Just a creepy coincidence. Although, in 2018, Beyond Meat partnered up with Zandbergen, world's finest meat from the Netherlands. That's right, originally a butcher and now an importer of frozen meat from across the world. Zandbergen states it is proud to be working with Beyond Meat that has replaced meat protein by plant protein. Synthetic biology, alright. Creating new species, remember? Replacing meat protein by plant protein doesn't exactly make it vegetarian, now does it? Oh, and guess what? Beyond Meat's manufacturing facility in the Netherlands is only 7 minutes away from an abortion facility, the Emma Clinic, in the city of Enschede. Bearing in mind the Netherlands only has 15 abortion facilities, what are the odds? Gates now believes the wealthiest countries should switch to eating 100% synthetic beef in order to help combat climate change. Of course, climate change. If you can't blame it on COVID, blame it on climate change. Now the poor countries cannot afford synthetic meat, so they can continue eating real meat. But that will have to be GMO'd, of course. Bill Gates has taken over our food supply. He GMO'd our seeds, and now he is getting rid of the American beef industry. He is destroying farming and he's buying up farmland. This way, he will soon control every aspect of our food, how it is produced, what is put into it. Gates will do in the US and Europe what he has already done in Africa and India. He will force you to obey his rules and regulations. If you disobey, you will be fined, thrown in jail, and you will be refrained from food, the #1 necessity in life. Gates has found yet another way to subjugate us completely and utterly to his whims and wishes. Now, if that doesn't worry you, we don't know what will. Well, maybe this will. All current COVID vaccines are the result of synthetic biology. All of them. They have not been tested. They are not approved. They are referred to as GRAS, generally recognized as safe, which means absolutely nothing. And they are in an experimental phase until 2023. Let that sink in. You are part of a massive medical experiment. By injecting a SynBio product into your body, you could be changed into one of Gates' products, a SynBio'd, genetically modified product. after everything we have shown you in the previous episodes about Bill Gates, exactly how safe does that make you feel? Now, during the very first seconds of this episode, we promised you that this would be the last one about Gates. And that was truly our intention. I mean, we are so fed up with him, you have no idea. But as we are approaching the critical half hour, we're afraid there's just a few more things about him that will put things into perspective in a way you've probably not seen before. Bear with us and move along to part 13.